address the issues facing Tennesseans today. From 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John North. John Becker is away on vacation. So last week we wrapped up Knoxville City Council primary races. There were 5 of them, and it was sort of a glimpse as to what we can expect come November. This morning we're going to be talking more about that with our pundits, our experts, and I'd like to introduce you to them right now. We've got with us this morning Dawn BOSCH, she's an attorney and a Democrat, and Susan Richardson Williams, she is a Republican and runs her own PR campaign. I think I sort of recognize you guys. You've been on this program before, haven't you?
Maybe a couple of months, maybe, since we've been on, so we're happy to be back.
It has been a while, and we're glad to see you. So let's kick off talking about these races, and there's a lot of ground that I'd like to cover, but I think the first thing that we should talk about is some of the key races. There were 2 that were essentially not contested. The 2 candidates advanced because they had no other competition. That's districts 2 and 3. But in districts 1, 4, and 6, there were 3 candidates, and on Tuesday it was pared down to 2. And those are the folks we're going to see on the ballot come November, and we will be seeing a lot from them, yard signs and commercials and who knows what else, maybe interesting mailers. And 1, 4, and 6, as I say, and I want to start with 4. That's kind of the race everybody was looking at because, well, it just kind of got off to a fast start. Dawn and Susan, you want to talk about that one? That's Lauren Ryder and Jim Clanaris.
Sure, I can start with that unless Susan wants to go. John, who would you prefer to hear from?
Let's hear from the lady first.
All right, thank you. Well, you had the incumbent, Lauren Ryder, and then you had a challenger, Jim Clanaris. And this was a very close race in the district. I think it was 48% for Lauren, and Jim got 42%. Now, Jim is well known in the city. He is a Republican. He's a restaurant owner and an entrepreneur, businessman, very well known, and he supported the Republican Party. As we'll probably talk about in some of these other races, there was a group, the Scruffy City PAC, that got behind all of the Republican-backed candidates in every one of these districts. So I think this is the race that, when it goes citywide, is going to be really, really tight. But Jim is a good candidate. He's well funded, and I'm anxious to see what happens with this race in November.
The margin was, I think, like 227 for Lauren in that race. And let's say this again, and it may become pointless at some point. This is a nonpartisan election, Don, and still parties kind of lurking out there.
Yes, I think Susan used the word Republican at least 3 times in her opening block. So it is nonpartisan, and it allows, and interestingly enough, if you do split it up partisan, I think City Council, there are 9 people that largely identify as progressives or Democrats, and 2 that identify as more conservative Republicans. That said, this is the first time that we've really seen sort of active party politics, certainly from the Republican side, and I attribute that some to Daniel Herrera, the new GOP chair, and we'll see if it works. As it relates to District 4, though, Susan is right. This is probably the hottest of the races that will be in the general. It's important to remember that the primary is you just vote in your district and only, and that the general is the entire city gets to vote for every district. But Clanaris is well known. He is considered very conservative. Lauren Ryder has done a fabulous job on City Council. She is well liked amongst our party. And as I think Susan talked about in the show, remember, only 10 out of 40 some odd precincts that make up Knoxville went for Trump in 2020. So, you know, say what you will about Knox County being red, Knoxville is pretty blue, and Lauren is still the favorite. It's just going to be the most interesting and competitive race, in my opinion, in the general.
That race, I think the votes cast were like 3,687, and none of the other 4 district races were anywhere close to that in terms of votes cast, which I thought was very interesting. Dawn and Susan, is Lauren a target?
Oh, no question.
I would say she is the target, and that's simply because, as Don mentioned, our new county party chairman, Republican Party chairman, Daniel Herrera, has made it a point to get involved, to get the party involved in these city council races. And yes, they are nonpartisan on the ballot, but clearly I think most people know where all of the incumbents' party is. And I think it's probably the first time that the Republican Party's actually gotten involved in backing, in publicly backing some of these city council candidates.
Well, I found it interesting that one of the stalwarts of the local GOP, Victor Ashe, has even said that he thinks it's a really bad idea to inject partisanship in these nonpartisan races.
Is this sort of an old-fashioned notion that we have had about nonpartisan races that's not so relevant anymore?
Maybe. I just think what's happened in the city, as Don said, the city has definitely turned very blue in the last few years. And I think there are concerns in the Republican Party that this group is going to spread to the county. And as you well know, the county has been extremely red and controls the courthouse by and large. And so I think there was a lot of concern, a lot of talk about we need to begin to get into these city council races. And this is the first time that this has ever happened.
Don, any?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know that it's going to be a very successful move for the GOP. We'll see shortly, but I have some confidence that the progressive candidates will continue to hold their seats.
That's something that we'll definitely want to watch. We also want to cover districts 1 and 6, those races. District 1 is primarily South Knoxville. District 6 is a race that's primarily East Knoxville, with a little bit of a dog leg for both of those districts. That's something that we're going to be taking up probably in the next block. Along with, we want to talk about finances and what money means, its significance, as well as turnout. But right now, we are about to take a break, and we will be coming right back to you with the second block of Inside Tennessee.